Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Star Trek The Motion Picture. Story by Alan Dean Foster, screenplay by Harold Livingston, and the adaptation by Gene Roddenberry. And I was going to talk about this anyway, but it's already happening. You can see my book is falling apart. I bought this used at the bookstore for like 99 cents because it was just like so cheap and falling apart. And I just wanted it because I wanted to be able to read the book. But literally, as I started picking it up now, the cover started breaking again. The cover's been in disrepair, and it's an old book, but it's okay because it's well-loved. Not by me as much, because I just read it in like a day, but it's been well-loved by someone, and time, I guess. And this is the fourth Star Trek novelization that I have read. I read Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Amazing novelization. I also read Star Trek The Search for Spock. Amazing novelization. And I read the Star Trek Wrath of Khan novelization, which was fine. This novelization I would put in the fine category. This book, like Wrath of Khan, faithfully adapts the story of the movie. Doesn't add that much, and what it does add, did we really need to know that? The one thing with this book that I think it does well is it captures the tone of the movie and is much more fun than the movie. The movie is slow and boring. The movie just moves glacially slow at times. Well, the book doesn't really, because the book doesn't have to do all the visuals. The book's just getting you through, and Gene Roddenberry really focuses on internal character moments and dialogue. That's what he focuses on in this. So if you like reading about that, you're going to love this book because it's just internal character moments and dialogue. And the book goes through at a very quick pace, despite the fact that the story doesn't start till the end of the book. But that's how the story of the motion picture is. People have dubbed the movie the slow motion picture, and there's a reason for it. And the book, even though it happens at about the same time, it's designed the same as the movie, it's a faster paced story in book format, I feel like, and it works better because of that. I normally listen in complete silence when I'm reading a book, but I made the exception with this to listen to the soundtrack to the movie while reading the book, and this is the best example I've ever had of this. I tried this a little bit with the other novelizations, and it didn't really work out well. The score, there are elements of the scores of all these movies that is great, but overall, it didn't enhance my experience. Listening to the score of this movie while I read it really enhanced my experience, particularly when I was reading about Kirk seeing the Enterprise for the first time, and I listened to the track where the same scene happens in the movie. Was just beautiful. And so I highly suggest listening to the score while you read this book, especially since the chapters are so quick and the scenes are so quick that they actually line up well with the tracks. Like, if you read fast enough, you could probably read the scene as the music unfolds in the scene. It's that fast-paced. One of the problems with this book is that Gene Roddenberry has this weird fascination with sexual elements in his storytelling. And since he got to novelize this, he got to focus on it when he wrote the book. And it's interesting. One of the moments is towards the beginning of the book, he alludes to a potential sexual relationship between Kirk and Spock. Like, he makes reference to it and then immediately shouts it down. And he's like, oh, that's not real. And it's like, why would you introduce that if you're just going to shout it down real quickly? It's not like characters are discussing it, really. It's the narrator. It's in the footnotes of the book. And I was just like, this is so weird. That's just weird detail to include. But okay. And then he really focuses on the sexual elements of the Deltans, and specifically of Ilya. And the movie already sexualized her too much, but man, the book does it even more. Also, there are thoughts inside Decker's mind about Ilya that are just weird. So he has this weird fascination with sexual elements that it's just doesn't really jive for me. I had forgotten all the details of the story. I remembered the climax, but I had forgotten, like, when they mentioned the entity's name is V'ger. which actually we do get one chapter from V'ger's perspective, which was interesting. But when they named the entity V'ger, I did not remember why it was called V'ger. And then I got to the point where they explained why, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant! Which, of course, was in the movie, and I had just forgotten it. So I thought that the book was overall well-paced, but it's just the story itself is just a little bland. Like, the story introduces an element about Spock becoming more human, and then just drops the ball halfway through, just never brings it back up again. And the book really is about Kirk taking over control of the Enterprise again, but it never gives him proper resolution, never gives him a character resolution. The plot is paid off, the plot resolution is there, but character resolution really isn't there for our main characters. I guess you could say for Ilya and Decker it is, but not really for anyone else. So that was, I think, a big problem with the book. And also, it doesn't, whereas the other books give a lot of time to the other main characters like Uhura and Scotty and McCoy. I guess McCoy gets a bit of time here, but McCoy doesn't get a lot, and Sulu gets almost no time at all. And when he does, it's not great. And even Chekhov gets a quick passing mention. So overall, this is the weakest story of the novelizations that I've read. I still have not read the 5th movie novelization, although I have it now, but. It is a weak novelization, it is a weak story, but I think the novelization is fine. It didn't leave out major moments. It didn't have a poor pacing or anything, and it didn't add stuff that was superfluous. It was very, except for the sexual elements. I always think it's fine. So even though I hold these two as the gold standard for novelizations, I gave this one a 6 out of 10. I'm going to do about the same and give this about a 6 out of 10. So that's my thoughts on Star Trek: The Motion Picture Novelization by Gene Roddenberry. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts down below. When did you see the movie for the first time? I was a teenager when I saw it for the first time, but that was because the movie was over 50 years old at the time. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.